What's your story? What's your sign? It's like we're twin flames in a different life. Deep connection lights a spark. It's like you know me in the depths of my heart. We're dreamers. Don't care what other people say. We live it like this could be our final day. We're dreamers. Don't care what the others say. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive in the nighttime. It's something about how we dance in the moonlight. That look in your eyes, it tells me that you want me and all my loving. We come alive in the nighttime. You and I, we come alive. We come alive. We come alive. What's your weakness? What's your type? Somehow I wanna know all about you. Deep connection lights a spark. You already know me when we dance in the dark. We're dreamers. We live it like this could be our final day. We're dreamers. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive in the nighttime. It's something about how we dance in the moonlight. That look in your eyes, it tells me that you want me and all my loving. We come alive in the nighttime. You and I, we come alive. We come alive.
Hello, welcome to this lesson. Today we will do this simple exercise using surface modeling tools. If you expand our browser here, you can see we have quite a number of surface bodies and also a single solid body here. If you also turn on our section analysis, you can actually see this view, right? So let's just close this one and also close this file. I'm not going to save. Nice. So we are starting a new document. Make sure you are actually using a millimeters template, and we are going to start our first sketch on the, let's go with the top plane. Create a rectangle and start with the center rectangle. Start here from the origin and move away. This distance should be 90. If you click tab, you can actually input 180 in the next dimension input box and just press enter. So this is our first sketch. Easy. And just finish your sketch. Nice. So navigate to the surface tab and click the extrude tool. This should be our profile, and in the direction area, make sure it's actually two sides, and click this lower handle and just drag it down. This one is going to be 25, and the taper angle here is going to be -20. Click this top handle and just drag it up. This one is going to be 175. Nice. So just to verify everything here and click OK to close this extrude dialog. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is apply some chamfer. So select these two edges. Make sure the chamfer distance is 15 and that the chamfer type should actually be equal distance, and click OK to close the chamfer dialog. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is apply some fillets. So click the fillet tool, select the following edges, make sure all of them are selected, and that our fillet radius is going to be say 15. Nice. So we are also going to add a new selection set by clicking this plus icon here, and we are going to select this edge, and the radius too should be 15. We are also going to add a new selection set, and let's rotate this a little bit. Select these 4 new edges, and our fillet radius is going to be 30. Once again, we are going to add a new selection set and add these 3 new edges. So select those 2 and also this one here, and our radius again is going to be 15. Okay, this is looking good. So you can just verify everything and also make sure it's actually tangent G1, and the fillet radius type is actually constant. Click OK to close the fillet dialog. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start a new sketch on the XZ plane. So select the expand the origin folder, select the XZ plane, and create a new sketch. We are also going to slice this one and start with the line tool. So just draw an outline here, repeat line, and make sure this one snaps to the midpoint of this line segment, and just move away. So select these 3 lines and we are going to make them equal. Then this line and this line here should be symmetric about this line, and this one here should also be a construction line. Then we are going to apply some dimensions, so make sure from here to here is 15. This line here should be 75. This angle here should be 110. And the length of this line segment here should be aligned, and also if it's 100 millimeters, and also from here to here should be 80, and our sketch should be fully defined. So if you expand the sketches folder, you can see our sketch is fully defined with the lock icon there. So just finish the sketch. We are going to extrude this profile, so select it, and in the direction area make sure it's actually symmetric, and the measurement area is also whole length, and we're just going to drag this handle here. So the total distance here can also be like 30, so it really doesn't matter as long as it's actually overlapping this surface body here. So just click OK. We are also going to apply some fillets, so click fillet and select this edge and also this edge. This radius should also be 15. you can right click and say okay. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is let's offset some surfaces. So click the offset tool there, and also make sure chain selection is unchecked, and the offset type is actually a rounded offset, and select the following faces we want to offset. Select this one, also this one, and also this one. Make sure this is also going inside. The distance is 5, although in the negative direction, so input -5. So we can just right click and say okay. The next thing we're going to do is also, let's expand our bodies folder. Click body 3 and click A on your keyboard. We are going to apply a new appearance, so let's go with say red. Also make sure the body stroke component radio button here is also checked in the appearance dialog, and just drag this one over here, and you can see it has been applied to that. So just close this one, and now these are the bodies we have. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do also, let's offset this entity here. So select it again, it should be going inside. The distance should be 5, although in the negative direction, so input here -5 in that input box, this one, and just right click and say okay. And nice. So the next thing we're going to do is trim some surfaces. So click the trim tool, click this outer one, and we are going to remove this. So select that, right click and say okay. Nice. The next thing we're going to do is hide the visibility for that one. So it should be this one here. Then we're also going to trim more, so click trim tool, and also this should be our trimming boundary, and also this is what we want to remove, so click it, and you can now right click and say okay. Nice. So this is what we have just trimmed. So let's also turn the visibility for this one off, so click it here. Nice. We can also create a new section analysis. So let's go with this plane. I think this one looks good. So just click OK. And I can also rename this one here as Heightwise. Nice. So we can also just turn it off. The next thing we're going to do is let's apply some loft. So click the loft tool here, select this edge and also this edge. You can also drag this one to ensure they don't intersect each other, and we are going to verify everything and right click and say OK. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is stitch. So click the stitch tool, this one here, and just right click and say OK. Then we're going to apply some fillets. So click the fillets tool, select this edge and also this edge. Also make sure tangent chain is selected, and our fillet radius here should be say 8. That looks good. Just right click and say OK. Apply that. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is let's start a new sketch on the YZ plane. So click the YZ plane here and click create sketch. We are going to select them and also let's complete that a little bit. We are going to project this geometry here and also this one. Click OK. Then select everything. Make sure this is actually construction. And we're going to start a new line here from. Make sure it maps to the midpoint of this line segment and also this one. Right click and say OK. Nice. So we're just going to finish our sketch here. Alright, so the next thing we should do now is let's create a new sketch here. Click create sketch and also let's project some geometry. So select project geometry. So we are going to project that edge there and also that edge. So select everything and make sure it's actually good construction. The next thing we're going to do is have some line. Activate the line tool and also make sure you grab that this one here at the bottom. So let's dimension this one as about let's say 44. That looks okay. So we're just going to finish our sketch, and also we are also going to travel back in time here and just drag this one here. Nice. We are also going to set a new sketch now again on this face. Click create sketch and we are going to project some geometries here. So let's select project to surface, this one, activate it. So in the faces to be projected to, select the following. So select this one here, this one, this one. Make sure all 5 are selected. Then in the curves to project, make sure you select this one, that line entity there. Then in this drop down, in the project type drop down, make sure it's actually a long vector, and our vector here should be the x-axis, so you can just select it from our model tree here. This one should be along the x-axis there. We need to reselect our curves here. So select the curves and also this is what we want to project again. And our projection direction again here should be the x-axis. So select it from our model tree. And you can see we have a preview. Click OK to close this dialog. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is click this finish sketch first, and we need a new plane. Select plane along path, and our path should be this one, and just drag this plane so it's actually start from that point there. Click OK to close the plane along path dialog, and we're going to start a new sketch. So click this plane and also click create sketch. We are going to select this one once again and also project this geometry. Let's create a new circle here of diameter say 7. Click enter, and we are also going to finish our sketch. You can also see it's fully defined here. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is let's apply some sweep. So in the type area, make sure it's single path, and our profile here should be the circle here. Let me just zoom in, this one, and our path should also be the projected entity. Nice. Just to verify everything here and click OK. Very good. So the next thing we should be doing now is to let's pattern. So get a rectangular pattern there. Make sure in the object type here is actually to features. You can select it from this drop down. Select features, and the feature to pattern is actually this sweep profile, and our axis should be the z-axis. You can see it there, so select it from our model tree, and now you can just drag this one here. So in the distribution area, make sure it's spacing, and this should also be symmetric. I think it is actually this one here. Then the quantity, make sure it's actually 9, and also the spacing here should be say 12. Alright, so you can just click OK to apply that. Very nice. So the next thing we're going to do is let's turn the visibility for some of them off. So click this one, should be this one here, check it, and also this one. So click it again, it's actually this one, and also this one is the last one. Just click the eye icon there to turn its visibility off. Nice. And now we are going to travel again ahead in time. Nice. So we have this new sketch that we had just completed a while ago. We are going to extrude it. Make sure the direction area here is actually 2 sides. Select that, and this should be our profile. So just click this first handle here and grab, drag, I mean. This distance you can just make sure it's maybe 10. It really doesn't matter as long as it's overlapping this surface here. Then we can also click this handle here and just drag it. So you can also input this distance as 100 millimeters. You can also just verify everything and click OK to apply. Nice. So the next thing we should be doing is okay, let's turn off the visibility for sketch 3 off, this one. Nice. So we are going to use this new extrusion as a cutting plane. So click the trim tool. This should be our trimming boundary, that last extrusion there, and the surfaces we want to remove are actually the following. So select this one too. Make sure all of them are selected, and we are also going to make a turn here and select the following. So if you're done, just click OK to apply that once again. Nice. So we have cut away all those unwanted surfaces. Then we're also going to turn off the visibility for this one. So click it and it will highlight here in the browser. Nice. So the next thing we should be doing now is to apply some patch. So click the patch tool here and select these ones, this end here. We're also again going to rotate that a little bit. make sure the group edges checkbox is actually checked, and the continuity here should be G1. Nice. So we can now just drag this one a little bit. So in the scale input box, make sure this is actually 1.2, or we can just do 1. Let's just do 1.2. Not 12, but 1.2. I think this can work. Or let's just drag it a little bit back. Say you can just leave it as a 1.05. It's still okay. So just right click and say OK to close the patch dialog. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is again trim more unwanted surfaces. So click the trim tool, and this should be our boundary, and this is now what we want to remove. So select this one here. Just a moment, I plug this one in. Alright, so let's continue. So where were we? Okay, let's just cancel out of this. So repeat the trim tool. This should be our boundary, and this is what we want to remove. So select that. Oops, just a moment. Click the trim tool. This should be our boundary, and this is now what we want to remove. So select that. Make sure you select everything. Rotate that a little bit and also select that. Nice. So just click this to close the trim dialog. Nice. We have just trimmed away all those unwanted surfaces. Alright, so the next thing we should be doing again is to let's stitch. So click the stitch tool there, and we are going to combine these surfaces. So select them one by one. This one too. Make sure all of them are selected, and just right click and say OK. Nice. So the next thing we should be doing again is to trim more unwanted surfaces. So this should be our boundary this time round. So just make sure you select this one here, and these are now what we want to remove. So select this one here. Let me zoom in this one here, and also this one here, and also this one. When you're done, just right click and say OK. Nice. So we have just removed all those unwanted surfaces once again. Nice. So the next thing we should be doing now is to let's stitch everything. So select the stitch tool there. It's actually this one. Then right click and say OK. Then we're also going to apply some fillet here. So select the fillet tool. Select all these. Our fillet radius should be about 3. But let's try 4. If 4 is too much, let's do 3 millimeters radius, and also make sure the radius type is actually constant and the tangency weight is actually 1. Click OK to close the fillet dialog. Nice. So the next thing we should be doing is let's now deal with the handle here. So we are going to start a new sketch on the XZ plane. So select the XZ plane from your browser, click create sketch, and you're also going to slice this one. Start with the line tool there and just draw an outline. Repeat trim, repeat line I mean. Make sure this snaps to the midpoint of that line segment and just move away. Select all three and make sure they are equal, and also this line and this line should be symmetric about this line. And let's apply some dimensions. So from here to here should be 35, and this length here should be 65, and this one here should be 118, and the length of this one here should be, say, 80. So this one can also move, so let's apply some dimension. So from here to here should be, let's say, 80, or let's just make it 85. Okay, this looks good, and now our sketch is fully defined. You can see that from our model tree, and we are going to finish our sketch there. Nice. So the next thing we are going to do is let's extrude this one, and in the direction area make sure it's symmetric, and the measurement area should be whole length, and this should be our profile, this sketch entity here. Nice. So you can just drag this one here and it will extrude. So you can leave this distance as 120. Just click OK to close this extrusion dialog. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is remove some unwanted surfaces. So click the trim tool. This should be our trimming boundary, and this is what you want to remove. So select it, right click and say OK. Nice. The next thing again, you should repeat trim. So right click and say repeat trim, and this time round this should be our boundary, and this is what you want to remove. So select that, right click and say OK. Nice. The next thing we should do now is to stitch our surfaces here. You can see we have two, so let's combine them into one. So just right click and say OK. Nice. Now we can apply some fillets here. We'll say just select all these edges, and let's attempt a fillet of, say, 10. I think 10 is okay for this, but you can feel free to play around with that. So I'm just going to right click and say OK there. Nice. So the next thing we should be doing is create a new sketch here. Create sketch, and we are going to project this entity here, and make sure it's also construction, and we are also going to slides here. Nice. So let me just zoom in a little bit. We should now be creating here say a slot. Let's go with let's try center to center. Start from somewhere here and move away, and click once again. This distance should be about 30. and our radius is actually 12, so the diameter should be 24. Click enter. Nice. The next thing we should now do is apply a vertical constraint between the midpoint of this line here. So just hold down shift key and it will highlight. Make sure you grab it, and also the midpoint of this one, still holding down shift. Nice. Then we should also dimension this one here as let's say 5, and also this one should be 30. Just click enter there and cancel out of this one. Nice. So the next thing we should do is now you can actually verify our sketch is fully defined. We can now just finish our sketch here, and again we are going to create a new sketch on this face. Click it and say create new sketch, and we are also going to project this geometry here. Click it and make sure this should also be constructor, and we're also going to create a new sketch here, or say a new slot so let's go again with center to center and start from somewhere here and move away, and our diameter here should be 24. You can also dimension this one here as say 30. Cancel out of that, and now we are going to apply a vertical constraint between the midpoint of this line here. I'm now hovering over the line, but the midpoint is not highlighting, so you can just hold down shift to grab it there, and also it should be vertically constrained with this one here. Click OK, and now we can also dimension this one from here to here as say 5. Our sketch will be fully defined. You can see the lock icon there. So just finish your sketch. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is create a new sketch on the XZ plane. So let's click it on the browser and create a new sketch. I'm just going to move this a little bit down, and I'm also going to slice here. Nice. The next thing we're going to do is let's project this line here onto that sketch plane, and also this one. Right click and say OK. We are also going to start a new control point spline there, so it's actually this one here. So make sure you grab that point there and make a spline point there, and also it should terminate here. Right click and say OK. Nice. So we can now dimension. Okay, before we apply any dimension, we should also project this entity here. Make sure it's construction, and we need also a horizontal constraint between the midpoint of this line here. So hold down shift to grab its midpoint, and also this one. Nice. Then we can now dimension from here to here as say, let's say this is 70. Alright, this is now looking good. You can also verify that the sketch is fully constrained, and we can now finish our sketch. Alright, so the next thing we should be doing now is to let's loft. So click the loft tool here, and also this should be the profile, this one here. and also this should be the next profile. You can see we have a preview, and also in the rail section here, let's add a new rail, and we are going to select this line here, and our preview is now updated. Nice. You can now just verify everything here. The rail type is actually rails, not center line, and also the chain selection was on. Nice, so just click OK. Nice, so the next thing you should be doing is to let's stitch our surfaces. So you can see we have two surface bodies in our model tree. You can select them from there. Just right click and say OK, and we can now fillet here. You cannot fillet yet, so just let's click the stitch tool once again, since it didn't apply the changes. So just repeat stitch tool, and we are going to select everything, and we can also adjust this one here. Say 1.5. Click OK, and we seem to be getting an error here. Oh, there we haven't. We need to make a cutout here, so sorry for that. So let's trim once again. Select the trim tool, and this should be our trimming boundary, and this is what we want to remove. Just right click and say OK, and I've made a cutout here, so the boundaries are actually intersecting. Sorry for that. Then let's also trim this one. So select trim tool, and this should be our boundary, and this should be what we want to remove. Click it, just right click and say OK. Nice, so we are now free to stitch, because we have like no surface body is actually intersecting the other. So let's just apply a stitch here, grab everything and right click and say OK. It should now work. Very nice. So the next thing we should do is now to apply some fillet. So select fillet, select that edge and also this edge here. Our radius should be about 15, or let's try 10. You can just leave it at 15. It's okay, so you can feel free to play around with that. So just right click and say OK. Nice, we have our handle there. The next thing we should do is now work with the top here. However, this distance here should be, we need to extend this face here at the top. So click home and activate the accent tool and select this edge here, and we are going to make this distance say let's have this distance as 35. You can just right click and say OK to apply that. Okay, before you click apply, so just right click this one here once again and say edit feature. And I want to show you here that the type is actually natural, and also the edge alignment is actually free edges from this drop down. Alright, so you can just cancel out of that. Just wanted you to know, to show you that. The next thing we should do now is to create a new sketch on the XZ plane. So select the XZ plane here and create a new sketch. Again, we are going to slice here, and we should project this geometry, this one and this one. Right click and say OK. So select both of them and make sure they are construction, and you also need a new control point spline here. So select that. We need about 5 of them, 5 spline points, and right click and say OK to exit out of that command. And this one should be coincident to this line here, and also this one should be coincident to this line. Oops, not that point. Control Z. Let's apply that again. So coincident between, so this one should be lying on this line. Right click and say OK. Nice. So the next thing should be, before we can dimension this one, so let's apply a horizontal constraint here and also here. Just right click and say OK. Nice. So we can now dimension from here to here. Say this is 8. This should be 8. And this one here, we can try say 18. And also this segment here, this should be about 20. So just make sure this is actually 18 here. Nice. So this segment here should be 40. And we also need another vertical constraint. So say from this point to our origin should be vertically aligned. Nice. So we can just drag this one a little bit lower, say up to somewhere here. Then we can also dimension this height from here to here, say 210. And this looks okay. So we are just going to, you can also verify that the sketch is actually fully defined, even from its color here. So just finish sketch. Nice. So the next thing we are going to do is to extrude this profile. So click extrude, and this should be our profile. And in the direction area, make sure it's actually symmetric, and this should be whole length. And just grab this handle here and drag it away. So this distance can be 25, it really doesn't matter, just to make sure it overlaps this surface here. Nice. So just click OK to close that. And we're also going to trim. So select the trim tool here. This should be our boundary, and this is what we want to remove. Right click and say OK. Right click once again and say repeat trim. This should be our boundary now, and we want to remove this overlapping part here. Select both of them. Right click and say OK. Nice. So you can also see we have two surface bodies here. So we need to stitch them. So select the stitch tool, this one, and select our bodies here. And we can right click and say OK. Nice. So the next thing is to maybe apply a fillet of say 10, or say 8. It looks okay. You can also verify everything here that the radius tab is actually constant, and just click OK to close the fillet dialog. Nice. So the next thing we are going to do is we need to start a new sketch on the top plane. Right, so select this should be the, let me see, should be the XY plane. So if you select the XY plane from our model tree, this one, click create sketch, and you can also slice this one if you like here. Then we need a new circle here, say of diameter, say, let's say 50. And we need a horizontal constraint from its center and our origin. And we can dimension this one here as say 55. If we uncheck here slice, you can see our new sketch profile there is lying on the XY plane. So just finish your sketch, everything is fully defined, and we're going to extrude that profile. So select the extrude, and in the start area here, make sure this is actually offset, and our offset distance should be, say, our offset distance, let's give this one as a, say, 215. So you can see that our extrusion is starting to 15 millimeters away from our sketch plane here. And in the accent type here, we are going to say to object, and this should be the object. So it's starting from this plane, which is 210, that is actually it's 210, but you can also make it 215, why not? So it's starting to 15 millimeters away from our sketch plane, and it's going to be extruded to this object here. That's why it's actually going downwards. So click OK to close that and apply. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is to make a cutout here. So click the trim tool. This should be our boundary, and this is what we want to remove. Click it, right click and say OK. Nice, and you can see we have a cutout here. We can also extend this edge here by, say, 25 if you like, just to verify here that the type is actually natural from this drop down, and also it's actually free edges in the edge alignment section. Click OK, and we're also going to stitch everything. So select the stitch tool, and we're going to select our bodies from our model tree. Select both of them, right click and say OK. We can now fillet this edge here with the radius of, say, 10. Right click and say OK. Nice. So the next thing we should now do is deal with this lower section here. So we are going to patch. Select the patch tool here, this one, and select this lower edge, and make sure this actually is 0, and our scale here should be 0.5. Actually we can't input that unless we change this one to, say, G1, but just leave it at as G0, and yeah, just right click and say OK. We now have like 2 new surface bodies in our model tree. We are going to stitch them. Just select the stitch tool, select both of these, right click and say OK, and we are going to fillet this edge with the fillet of radius, say, let's say 8. Right click and say OK. The next thing we're going to do is again start a new sketch, say on the, let's do the XZ plane once again. So select the XZ plane from the origin folder in the model tree and click create sketch. We are going to slice this one here, and we are going also to start a new line. Let's just draw an outline here. So select all 3 and make sure they're actually equal. And also we need a vertical constraint between our origin and the midpoint of this line here. Just hold down shift key so that the midpoint is highlighted. Nice. And we're also going to dimension from here to here. Let's give this one as a 15, and also this one we can try 25. This looks okay, and our sketch should be fully defined here, and we can finish our sketch. The next thing we are going to do is extrude this one, extrude that profile, and our direction here should be symmetric, and the measurement should be whole length. Just drag this one away and make sure it overlaps this one, this surface entity here. So this distance here doesn't really matter, but you can say it 120 millimeters is just still okay. Click OK to close that, and again we are going to fillet. So apply a fillet, or say 5 millimeters to those two edges. Right click and say OK, and nice. So the next thing we're going to do again is to pattern. So activate the rectangular pattern, and make sure the object to pattern here is actually features from this drop down, and the features to pattern are actually the extrusion and the fillet, and in the axis here is actually along the x-axis, so we can select that from our model tree, that one there. And if we drag this one, we can see it's actually in axis 1, so make sure this is symmetric. We need about 3 is okay, and this distance here, let's see, 40 looks okay too. So in the distance input box here, make sure this is actually 40 millimeters, and this should also be symmetric. So just click OK to close that dialog. Nice. So the next thing again we are going to do is more trim operations. So click the trim tool. This should be our boundary. This is what we want to remove. Click that, right click and say OK. If you right click again, you can say repeat trim, and this should be our boundary, and this is what we want to remove. Right click again and say OK. If you right click again, we are going to say repeat trim, and this should be our boundary, and this is what we want to remove. Again right click and say OK. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is to let's trim once again. This should be our boundary, and we can select these ones here, select the 3 of them, and we can have a view from the top. You can see all of them have been selected, so that we trim away the overlapping surface bodies. So just right click and say OK. Nice. So this is now what we have. If you expand here, also our bodies folder, you can see we have 4 new surface bodies. So we have the main one, that one, and also these 3 new ones. You can also turn their visibility off, so you can actually see inside. You can see, and also turn their visibility on once again. So the next thing we're going to do is to let's stitch everything. So select the stitch tool and select our bodies right there. So you can select the first body, hold down shift and select the last one, and it select everything. And the next thing we're going to do is you can see we only have one free edge, and it's here at the top.
about to explode.
Nice. So you can just click OK to apply your changes. The next thing we should do now is to fillet. So click the fillet tool. This should be about 5 millimeters. Hold down the Ctrl key and include these two new edges here. And release your Ctrl key, and everything should now be okay. So you can just right click and say okay. And nice. So I think we have come to the end of our exercise. So at this point you can actually thicken it to a thickness of your choice. And thank you for tuning in, and see you around.
Deep connection lights a spark. It's like you know me in the depths of my heart. We're dreamers. Don't care what other people say. We live it like this could be our final day. We're dreamers. Don't care what the others say. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive in the nighttime. It's something about how we dance in the moonlight. That look in your eyes, it tells me that you want me and all my loving. We come alive in the nighttime. You and I, we come alive. We come alive. We come alive. What's your weakness? What's your type? Somehow I wanna know all about you. Deep connection lights a spark. What's your story? What's your sign? It's like we're twin flames in a different life. Deep connection lights a spark. It's like you know me in the depths of my heart. We're dreamers. Don't care what other people say. We live it like this.